what Nashville's talking about. And we're also talking about a new book, A Hit with a Bullet. I was in Nashville, Lexi, when this happened.
Really?
And Sammy Sadler was on the news every day. I heard that name, Sammy. Welcome to our show, first of all.
Thank you, Devon. Thanks for having me.
Wow. And Gary Morris, I'm just going to go ahead and bring you in on this because you were probably here around this same time. When did you get to Nashville? When did you first move here?
1981.
Okay, I was in 86. I moved here in 86 from New York. So I was, tell people, first of all, you were a survivor from we know the song Murder on Music Row, but this was really, it took place and it was a real thing.
Yeah, I came to town. I got a record deal right out of high school when I was 18, and by the time I was 21, back then they didn't cut albums on you. They'd put out singles on you for a while to see how things worked. And I was on my 6th single. We'd cut the O. Aaron Neville song, Tell It Like It Is, and that was the fastest rising single of my career, and was working on my first album. And March the 9th, 1989, we were on the charts, and Kevin Hughes was a good friend of mine, and he was a chart manager for Cashbox magazine, where the top 100 records move on the charts. And him and I happened to be together that night, and ended up getting shot. And Kevin got murdered and killed, and I got shot and left for dead, and became known as around the world as a Murder on Music Row.
I remember when that happened, and people were terrified to walk out of studios because you worked late into the night. And it was dangerous. Music Row is not a safe place. Did you ever have any issues when you ever walked out, Gary?
No, because I walked out with guns in both hands.
Yeah, you had to.
I had a gun in my back pocket. I had concealed carry forever, and but it was. But it wasn't as scary as being in New York, though. Back in the early 80s, you felt like you were going to get shot every moment, anytime.
That's when I was there, yes.
Yeah. You know what that was. It's Disneyland now, but back then it was different.
Well, Music Row was a very different place, and a lot of people complain about all the changes on Music Row, but it does seem safer now than it did then, because it really was kind of the wild frontier. The book is called A Hit with a Bullet, a true story of corruption, greed, and the real murder on Music Row. Now, there are a lot of stories surrounding that night, why it happened. Do you shine the light on that in your book?
Well, we do, Devon. I mean, obviously, I'm just a country boy from Texas, and I came to this town to be a country music singer and try to make my mark in Nashville, but Nashville left its mark on me, so to speak,
gosh.
And I'm just thankful to still be alive. This book's took us about 10 or 12 years to write and finish and get out. And, it all, for 13 years, I had to live my life wondering who and why and what. And, it finally came out that there was some record promoters here in town trying to pay Kevin off to move records up the charts that they were working. And he was an honest person, and he died for trying to stand up to do the right thing.
Back when payola was taking place, and we've heard about it with Motown, and we've heard about it in other cities, but this was Music Row.
That's right.
And literally, when you fought to do things the right way, there's a lot of stuff that takes place on Music Row, and still.
Yeah, don't think for a moment that payola doesn't happen in the music business. If this is news to you out there, congratulations. Let me be the first to tell you. I can tell you personally stories when I managed a kid named Matt King. You got we need 4 tires to get him added at this station.
Oh my gosh.
Well, too late. Somebody else has already sent the music director to Hawaii. You just dealt with that on a daily basis.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's hard. And you dealt with it in a way that ended up with your story on Unsolved Mysteries, A&E's Cold Case Files, Entertainment Tonight. Have they found the people?
Yes. I mean, they finally brought everything to justice in I think it's into 2003, 2004, I believe it was. And Richard D'Antonio was convicted of actually being the trigger man that pulled the trigger. And they put him in prison. And to my understanding, I think he died in prison maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
I've got to ask, because most of us have never been on the business end of a gun and dealt with that kind of fear. How do you deal with that kind of PTSD?
You know, I mean, I really didn't know anything about PTSD. You know, recently, just a year or two ago, you know, someone was explaining it to me, so and it all made sense, you know. But I mean, that night changed our life forever. You know, I mean, I just sat down in Kevin's car to reach to shut the door, and I thought I caught something moving out of the corner of my eye, and I looked up, and all I saw was a gun right there, and I mean, it was just inches away from me, and I just automatically threw my arms up to cover my head, and that's when he shot and hit me in the arm, and I still carry the bullet, you know, with me today, and it's, you know, that night changed my life forever.
Did you continue with music?
It took, you know, they said that night that we ended up getting shot, it all happened in 7 seconds, and that 7 seconds took me 2.5 years to get back on my feet. I had to go through that night. I didn't obviously know how bad I was hurt, but they took me to Vanderbilt, and they had to operate on me 18 hours under a microscope and put a new artery in my arm. It was severed, and I didn't know that, but I was bleeding to death. And then I was going to have a second operation. That ended up happening about 3 months later, and Al Gore was a senator then, and he's the one that ended up making the phone call for me to have my second operation with the surgeon that operated on his son.
Oh, my goodness. You know,
Yeah.
I've had to call Al Gore's office for a couple of things.
Well, you know what, man, I'm just thankful that, you know, and he called me back, and, you know, I'm just thankful that he made that call for me.
I remember Jerry House he and Allison were on vacation in Russia, and they had their passports stolen.
Oh, wow.
And and I got word, he sent an email, we're stuck here, they've stolen our passports, we don't know what to do. And I remember a news report that Al was in town, so I called to Carthage and talked to his office, and then all of a sudden a fax came through at the embassy in Russia, and they said, your passports are here. And so they got out.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
You know, so Al Gore is, you know, he is connected to his Tennessee roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he helped in this situation.
Yes, he did.
Well, tell us where you are now in the story.
Well, you know, the book just came out May the 21st, and I understand it was on the pre-seller Amazon bestsellers already, and we're working on new music. We've got a new album that'll be following this, and got some guys that had some hit making back in the 90s with me. Restless Heart and Shannon Doe and T. Graham Brown are guesting with me on some stuff, and we're excited about having a new album, new music coming, and we're excited about the book finally getting out.
Well, Sammy, whenever you get your music, will you come back?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We'd love to debut that here. The book is called A Hit with a Bullet, which is the way we used to talk about the charts years ago. A hit with a bullet,
That's
which
right.
meant it was going up the charts.
That's right.
It was still going up.
Yes.
Well,
you know, when I had that when I got shot, Billy Joe Roll ended up cutting Tell It Like It Is, naming his album Tell It Like It Is, and still remains the biggest record of his career. Number 2, he took it to number 2.
isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow. It's such a crazy thing, because I remember this was on the headline every day.
Yeah.
And it was, you could hear it in the studios. Did you hear what happened to Sammy Sadler? Did you hear what happened? Well, now you can find out what happened. The book is out. A Hit with a Bullet. You can find it on Amazon. You can get it right now.
Yes, you can go to Amazon.com. You can go to my website, SammySadler.com, and IndigoRiverPub.com.
All right. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
in.
I appreciate it.
Come back with the music.
Thank you.